When you look in the mirror, are you happy with what you see? If not, maybe you're not seeing clearly because the image you see looking back at you is actually God's image. Really. It says so in the book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible, chapter 1, verse 26. God said, "Let us make man to our image and likeness." And God created humankind in his image. Oh, of course, we might see a few things we'd like to change, like too many freckles or too many wrinkles or a zit or a mole, an age spot. But those are so incidental and unimportant that they don't really matter. What matters is that we see a beautiful person created by a loving God for a purpose. I'd like to share with you an ancient Chinese Tao story with a timeless message about a cracked pot. Not a crackpot, that'll be another story for another day, but this is the story for today. An elderly Chinese woman completed a daily trek to the stream past her home and back to supply her family with fresh water. Now, in order to do this, she fashioned a heavy pot on each end of a long pole, which she carried across her shoulders. One of the pots was in perfect condition and always delivered a full portion of water. The other had a deep crack in it, causing water to leak out. And at the end of the long walk, the cracked pot arrived only half full. This situation occurred daily for 2 years, with the woman bringing home only 1.5 pots of water. Of course, the perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments, but the cracked pot was ashamed of its imperfection and felt miserable that it could only do half of what it had been meant to do. So after 2 years of what it had perceived to be bitter failure, the cracked pot spoke to the woman by the stream. "I'm ashamed," it said. "This crack in my side causes water to leak out. You work so hard and yet have little water when you return home." The woman smiled and replied, "Did you notice that there are flowers on your side of the path? I've always known about your flaw. So I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day while we walked back home, you watered those seeds and helped them to grow. For 2 years, I've been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate the table and give to neighbors. Without you being just the way you are, there would not have been this special beauty to grace our homes and lives." I love this story because I can really relate to it. God uses each one of us when we least expect it and in ways we could never have imagined to do amazing things. The older I get, the more lived stories I have to remember, and so often there are these kinds of stories. God using me, even with all my cracks and shortcomings, to do surprisingly well. Sometimes a person will tell me how much it meant to them there are lots of different ways to end that sentence. And it's a surprise to me because I have no recollection of it at all. Sometimes it's the cracks or what we perceive as imperfections that create something unexpected and beautiful. These cracks allow something to change and ultimately make the whole much richer and more interesting. Everything and every being has its own unique purpose and destiny to fulfill. The poet Leonard Cohen wrote, "There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." Cracks are not always a bad thing. So go take a look in the mirror. Smile back at the amazing, incredible person you see reflected there. Say hello to one of God's masterpieces that's been put here on earth for a little while to do amazing things for Him.